So it's been now up to a year and a half maybe that I am attending my trial, and I recall praying every day, God, if you are real, please just release me. If you release me, I will worship you. Whoever you are, I will worship you. And thank God I was found not guilty for one charge. Praise the Lord. And I remember just going home, reuniting with my family and friends again. And they took me out. We went clubbing, had alcohol for the very first time in a year and a half. And the funny thing was that, a lot of things changed. There were new erected buildings where I lived, new roads. In another sense, nothing really changed. My friends and the people around me were still doing the same thing. They were working, raising family, and I couldn't stop thinking about what happens to us when we die. That was still in my heart, even when I was outside. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. Everywhere I went, when I was on the bus, when I was just looking around at people, that I still needed answers. And now that I was on that outside, I have more resources to work with. We have the internet, and I spent all my time on the internet trying to gather as much information as I can about religion, the history of religion, and that's where I come across video debates. For example, there will be debates, Christian versus Muslim, or a Buddhist versus atheist, or Scientology. So many different perspectives. All these apologetics, arguing against each other, discussing, with their points of view and their perspective. And because I was sitting on the fence, it was just amazing just to hear so many different sides. And I was obsessed with it. I was on it day and night. Probably I'm out for maybe like 3 months. I'm waiting for my second trial, and that's not till another year. So during this short period, I remember I had some weird encounters, strange encounters. So the very first encounter was when I was on a bus. I was going home from court, from what I remember, and there was this guy who was sitting next to me on a bus. Now in London, it's not normal or custom for strangers to talk to you. So I had this guy just randomly having a small chat with me, and to be polite, I made small talk with him back. I asked him, okay, where did you just come from? And he told me that he just finished uni. And I asked him, what did you study at uni? And then he said he studies philosophy. So I asked him, so what's your views in terms of God, as a philosopher? And he just started laughing. And I said, what are you laughing for? And then he said, I do apologize. It's because my parents are Christians and they're missionaries in China at the moment. So a couple of days after that, I was on the bus again, and I was on the top deck of the bus, and there was only a few people on the other seats. So there was this woman, of all the places she decides to sit right next to me. So I scrunch up, give her space, and she takes out a big book from her bag and she puts it on her lap. And so I look over, just eavesdropping or being nosy. It was the Bible. So I don't know what urged me to speak to her. But we ended up just talking, and she started talking to me about the Bible and God and Jesus. So we were speaking to each other for maybe 5-10 minutes, and then I had to get off my stop. So another time, maybe a week or 2 weeks after, I'm at home. I'm by myself. I'm cleaning up by the front door, and there's a knock on the door. So I open up the door, and it's two Christians. Now, I've been in this house for over 10 years, and I can't remember, from what I recall, Christians ever knocking on the door. So they asked me, do you know God? And they hand me this leaflet about Jesus. And they were Jehovah's Witnesses. And I remember closing the door behind them, and I was like, oh, Jehovah's Witnesses, let me research about them. And I remember this period is where, okay, there's a lot of different sectors of Christianity. How do I find the truth in that? Because I do remember trying to read the Bible as a Jehovah's Witness, but there was a lot of contradictions. I did this very same thing with as a Catholic, because I was raised a Catholic. I thought, okay, maybe Catholic is the truth. So I remember trying to read the Bible as a Catholic, but there were contradictions as well. While on bail, I had to report to the police station every week and sign on, so that they know I haven't absconded or left the country before I would attend my second trial. So I remember one time that I did go to the police station. Across the road from me was a group of people, and one of them locked eyes on me and looked at me intently, and he just started marching towards me as if he was on a mission, and he hands me this book. So I look at the book, it's the Bible. Again, it's just weird. And I finally had my second trial, and I finally found not guilty. So, thank the Lord, and that I could just put everything behind me and just start again. After 2 years, I can finally just get on with my life and just start afresh. So during this period, I was helping out my family. So we had a shop which is 2 hours away, and I'm driving on the motorway, and in the car was my mum on the passenger side, and at the back was my younger brother and his girlfriend at the time. So I'm driving, and I'm in my thoughts, and I remember saying to myself, okay, all these religions, they seem to have this one theme in common, which is forgiveness. So I was trying to ponder about whether I can forgive anyone that's ever hurt me, whether big or small, whether I can truly forgive them. And I thought to myself, I don't think I could do that. What if someone's murdered one of my loved ones, or someone has maliciously hurt me? Can I really truly forgive them? And then for some reason I started thinking about, hang on a minute, I probably need forgiveness from other people. I probably hurt other people, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And that's, for a moment, for the very first time, I felt small. I felt like I'm not as good as I think I am. I'm saying to myself, it's been a long 2 years journey. And I wonder, okay, God, if I ask you to reveal yourself to me, would you? So there and then I decided, hey, I'm just going to ask him. So here's me, I'm driving on the motorway, I'm looking ahead. And I said, Heavenly Father, you know that I've been searching you for 2 years. You know above anyone else that I've been searching with my heart. I've been seeking you. can you show me with some sign of conviction that you are real? Amen. So I just left it at that. And so I'm in the car. It's quiet, everyone's asleep. And not, another maybe 10, 20 seconds after I said that, I'm not lying and I'm not crazy. This has never happened to me before, but I hear an audible voice, clear as day. It said, Matthew. So I'm like, what? So I'm hearing, I heard this voice, said Matthew. So my first thought was to try to think of all the Matthews I knew. My nephew's name, Matthew. And then the very same voice came back. And it said 6, 13, 14. And then I'm thinking, what is going on? And I'm getting goosebumps. And at the same time, I'm nervous, but I'm scared at the same time. And I gathered it was Bible scripture. But it wasn't until another 5, 10 minutes before I could park up. I'm driving. I'm in my head thinking, what is going on? What is going on? And I finally park up and I take out my phone and I go on the internet and I type in Matthew 6, 13, 14. And verse 14, it says, for you have to forgive others their sins, for your heavenly Father forgives your sins. Forgiveness. It was the very thing that I was thinking about moments earlier. And I just couldn't believe it. I still remember that day when I was in the car park. I was looking at my phone, I was just looking around. Like no one was there. My mum and my brother went to the shop already. I was just by myself and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe God answered me. It told me a few things. Oh, God, He is real. And He hears our thoughts. And He answers prayers. And to be honest, when I asked Him to reveal Himself, I don't know what I was expecting. But how He revealed to me, I'm going to be honest with you. So Allah didn't answer me, Buddha didn't answer me. The thousands of gods of Hinduism didn't speak to me. Jesus spoke to me. And He used the Bible to validate who He was. And that's how I became a Christian. After that, I remember it was a weekend, and I don't know if it was just me being cheeky, but I remember I asked God before I went to sleep that night to show Himself to me. And I remember I woke up and there was someone at the foot of my bed, and I don't know how I knew, but it was Jesus. I remember the light that it penetrated through me, and just the sense of peace and joy that I felt. I've never experienced it in my life before. I've taken drugs, so it felt like it was the best drug I've ever had. I remember saying to myself, if that is heaven, that's where I want to be. I don't know what it is, but His glory, His love, and His peace is so strong and immaculate that it will penetrate the person in the room, and that's what it felt like. I still remember that feeling. I yearn for that feeling to this day. And I remember, even just growing up, I hear a lot of, I hear Christianity being scrutinized a lot. I hear Jesus being scrutinized. And I thought, let me do my own research. I wanted to, okay, for me, I did believe, at this point, I believe that Jesus is real. I believe that Jesus is a God. But then there was this side of me of being a detective. Can I find any evidence that Jesus was a historical figure outside of Christianity? And I did. I found evidence. Number two, the Bible, a lot of people say the Bible is being corrupted over time. There's so many translations. I thought, okay, is there any evidence that the Bible we have today is the same Bible we had thousands of years ago? And what I found, I discovered that yes, it is the same, like maybe 97, 98% the same. The differences is maybe just to do with grammatical errors. And another question I did in my research was to find out, okay, maybe, okay, if the book is this, if what we have today is the same we had, okay, what about the people who wrote the book? And how can we be sure that what was written in there is true events? And from my research and what I discovered, then yes, it was. So during that time while I was doing my research and just gain as much information about, Christianity, the Bible, Jesus, the history, I also came across The Passion of Christ, the movie. And I don't know what it was, but when I watched that movie, it became more real to me, maybe because of the visuals. And I remember this, I was emotional, I was crying. And I said to myself, is this what he done for me? And I remember it really hit me. And I can't believe it that after all these years, growing up, hearing, that phrase that he died on the cross, I now could kind of grasp what it really meant, that he actually died for me. And what kind of person would die for, a wretched man like me? What kind of God, such a humble God, that he became man, he became a mere human being to walk among us, to be like us. Most humans, they want to be like God, but this God wants to be a man. And I just experienced his love, where it truly means, his grace, while watching that video. And I think, that just really spoke to me. It really kind of touched my heart when I visualized it, what he'd done for us. So when I had that experience with God speaking to me for the first time, it did take me back to when I was in prison, contemplating whether he was good or not. And yes, he is so good. He allowed all that to happen for me to search for him and to just search for grace and love and truly have a relationship with God, a true relationship with the one who created everything in this world, this universe, and us. And it's beautiful. He is so beautiful. What I would like to say is that please, just throw away any ideas you have about God, and just start again, just between you and God. In your heart, just ask him to reveal him to you, and he will. Maybe not in the same way as mine, because God works in different ways with different people, but he loves us just the same. And I pray that you do seek him, because he will, according to his word, according to his promise, that if you do seek him with his heart, with your heart, that he will reveal himself to you, just like he did with me.